is up, fight fans? I am Jason BURGOS for Sherdog.com, and this is another edition in the ongoing The Coronavirus Chronicles series. In this episode, I have the great pleasure in speaking with yet another key influencer in this MMA industry. We all know him for so long as a manager, gym owner for a plethora of superstar, challenging world champions for the last 2 decades, but most recently, he has been the man in charge at LFA, an organization at the heart of top talent development in this sport we love. He is the LFA CEO, Ed Soares. Ed, thank you so much for the time to give me your thoughts on the pandemic's effect on your promotion and your life at the moment.
Well, how it's affecting the promotion, unfortunately we had to postpone 3 events, but, that's the least of our worries. Again, our country is going through a devastating time, and we just have to hang tough. It is a bummer. I feel bad for all the fighters that trained, and there's so many different people that are being affected. Just about everybody's being affected. There's not too many people that aren't being affected by this. So it's just one of those times where you got to make the best of it. And I've been trying to find the pros and the silver lining in all this, and to be able to spend more time with my kids and spend more time with the family, spend more time at home. And just trying to make the best of it, and also assessing our business and the changes and how our business is going to change moving forward. So there's a lot of variables out there. So I'm just, looking forward to taking the next steps and getting our business back to as normal as it can be.
I have a whole bunch of questions now. I asked Ferdinand Lopez from Aris FC. I asked Martin Lewandowski, a similar question. Now, but how difficult for you and the staff was it to make that call to all the LFA fighters on LFA 84 and let them know, sorry, but we cannot go forward with this event, and do this. And considering all the postponements that were going on around at that time, did fighters kind of understand the situation, or some still did not fully get and grasp the seriousness of the oncoming outbreak?
Well, the benefit for us, as far as, there's a lot of things that go into it. First and foremost, it's the safety of our fighters and the safety of our staff. And even though LFA 84 was supposed to be on March 20th in Phoenix, Arizona, at that time, a week prior, the state of Arizona had no restrictions on us having it. But it was just, that was right around the time where it was a week before Bellator canceled their show. And I was actually in Connecticut with some guys that we work with in that show. So when we started seeing that, it started getting a little sketchy. And like I said, for the safety of our fighters, and thank God, all the different industries that have been affected, because, leading up into a fight, you've got tickets that are being sold, airfare, travel, all these different things. And fortunately for us, we decided to pull the plug. If I'm not mistaken, it was probably the Wednesday before. So let's say maybe like sometime around the 10th, the 10th or 11th of March is when we decided to pull the plug on the following week, just strictly because of the safety of the safety of the staff and the safety of the fighters. That's the main reason why, and I'm happy we made that decision. And then we went on and postponed the 2 events in April. So we postponed our April 3rd event, which was supposed to be in Broomfield, Colorado, and then we postponed our show that was in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. So as of now, we've postponed 3 events from mid-March till the end of April.
At any point when making the decisions for 84, 85, 86, was there ever serious discussions of maybe doing an empty arena event like we've seen a couple promotions doing, or maybe moving the show to a different state? Because surprisingly, there are federal guidelines, but every state's not following it. Some states are kind of doing their own thing. So there are, I guess you could say, some options in certain states. Mostly they're kind of, in stay at home. But were either those possibilities before making those eventual postponement decisions?
We thought about potentially doing it without any, but without anybody in the arena. But that weekend, you have to understand that we had obviously Bellator, which postponed it the week prior, which was unfortunately Friday the 13th. There,
Yes.
and it very much fit the date. So they postponed it the day of, and then the next day, the UFC had
Yep.
that show in
Yep.
Brazil with an empty arena, and then it was we talked about it, but it was just the way everything was going down. I just once again we thought about the safety of the fighters and the well-being of the staff and everybody there, and we didn't really know how many people were going to really want to go out and regardless of the restrictions of the state, we went above and beyond and thought about what was best for the fighters and for our staff. You know what I mean? And it was unfortunate because we had a great card lined up. We had a title fight. Tickets were selling very, very well. And but you know what? You got to think of the safety of our staff and the fighters first. I mean, we'll get through this. This too will pass, and we'll be back. So definitely, it's made us assess our business and looking at it from and looking at it in different ways, and kind of have to think outside the box of how business is going to work and operate moving forward.
How much of a financial hit, because you mentioned tickets and stuff like that, is it to lose three upcoming events? When I was talking to Campbell McLaren from Combate Americas, and he said, he felt everyone's going to lose money because of this whole thing. Do you feel that is the situation for you and your promotion, especially since like you mentioned, we really don't kind of know what's going to be on the other side, as we don't know when bans and on gatherings are going to kind of stop. Is this a tough pill to swallow for you and every other promotion right now?
Well, I don't know about every other promotion. I'm very focused on what we do. But we're a media company. We're in the content business, and we're here to develop content. So what we have to do is to think outside the box on how we can still be a media company. So, moving forward into the future here, obviously there's a lot of variables that are going on. Are people going to want to go? Are people going to want to sit next to each other? So what we've had to do is we've had to think outside the box and think of some other alternative ways that we could still produce content, for television and for streaming platforms all over the world, and still fulfill everything that we need to do. I mean, at the end of the day, if we're distributing our content and we're still getting sponsorship money, the only revenue stream that we're really losing, the major one, would be ticket sales. But then there's also other things that we can do to kind of counter that. So at the end of the day, I mean, it's just really you're gonna have to be smart. You're gonna have to sharpen that pencil, and you're gonna have to figure out alternative ways to get it done. And my goal is to continue to bring talent, develop talent, and develop content. And that's what our goal is. Ideally, I'd love to have it. And I'm interested to see how these changes are going to change the future of many businesses. You know what I mean? Like, it may be something where at times we would kind of joke and say, yeah, man, imagine how easy it'd be to just have one venue set up and you just show up there and everyone fly in. But then that may really become a reality.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So right now, we're keeping open minds and we're just adjusting our business to something that will work. You know what I mean? And I feel that my partners and our team that we have, we've got a grasp on it. You know what I mean? Granted, there's a lot of variables that we don't know, but I feel that we're taking the right steps to move forward. And my goal is to be producing content very soon here and putting on live fights for the world to see.
And that's good to hear that you're making the adjustments and still keeping the revenue strong, because I'm sure a fear for everybody, and even on many levels. And we've even seen it in major sports teams, organizations, sports leagues, laying off staff or adjusting their pay rates. I've had that at my day job, adjustment of pay rate. It because you guys have been able to make adjustments and stay viable financially, stuff like that. Is that something that you will hopefully be able to avoid for at least a very long time and get past the summer and not have to take those kind of just drastic steps?
Yeah, I mean, fortunately for us, for our staff, not only have we, we postponed 3 events, but with all of our staff, we even though the events didn't happen, we figured out a way to compensate our staff. So all of our staff has been compensated, and also during this time, we're trying to come up with some other creative ways to develop different types of content and develop different types of things to try to keep everybody that's within our organization or within our team busy and trying to put money. We're not looking at making money, but we're just trying to distribute money. So whether we make a little bit here, a little bit there, if we could offset paying some people's salaries for doing this, or paying some people's, compensating some people for doing different odds and end jobs, that's what we're trying to do. We're really, we're a family. The LFA, we're like a traveling circus. You know what I mean? We're traveling, doing 20 to 25 shows a year all over the country. So these guys become your family. A third of the year I'm spending time with them. So at the end of the day, I always think of our fighters and our staff first. And I can tell you, as far as the executives in this company, we always made sure all of the staff was taken care of before we even thought about ourselves. So that's how I feel. I feel we run our company very lean and very mean. We were very profitable. We started off this year. We've never had such a great start to a year. Our first 4 shows of the year, we were profitable on all those shows and doing very well. Our sponsorships are starting to grow, and it's just a shame this happened. But you know what? The strong will survive, and we need to adapt to the different circumstances. And I feel very confident with the team that I have. Like I said, I've said it once and I'll say it again. Pound for pound, we're the best in the business. No doubt about it. Pound for pound. I mean, you look at someone like the UFC, who's got over 300 employees. You've got Bellator, who's probably got 50 to 60 employees. We do 20 to 25 shows a year, and we've got a total of 12 employees.
Wow.
So why I say pound for pound, we're the best in the business.
And I'm glad you brought up the relationship you have with the UFC. Also, Dana kicking the door, following through, because considering the UFC has these 2 setups that are seem fairly bulletproof of now in terms of this arena, this private island, and LFA having this relationship with them, is there hope that maybe the UFC would reach out, maybe letting you run a show on one of these instances, or do you feel as the world leader, maybe it's kind of something they should do to help the sport and stuff like that?
Well, you know what? That kind of ran across my mind today, actually, for the first.
Like a midweek event, LFA. I think that would make sense.
Yeah, totally. But I think that there's a lot of variables, and I think that there's a lot of things. I do believe that we have some things set up that once we find, once we see that the government agencies are okay to maybe start kind of going back to semi-normal, you know what I mean? Like, granted, I don't think we're going to see arenas filled for a long time, and I don't think, but I do feel that we're going to be able to be in a position here sooner than later to be able to be producing shows and producing content. So we do have a plan, and we do have an idea of what we're going to do. So as of right now, what we've really been doing is kind of cleaning, cleaning out, figuring out what we got to do. We're going to be, redoing some stuff on our website and doing all these things to, like, when we're kind of having a downtime, we're going to kind of try to put a little bit more attention into some things when we're running in full capacity that we may not have as much time to focus on. So we're definitely still busy. We're just doing different things. And at the end of the day, what we need to do is just make sure that the safety of our fighters and staff is what comes first. You know what I mean? That's what comes first. We're scheduled to do 20 shows in 2020 with UFC Fight Pass. And I can tell you that even if we didn't do any shows until June, like, we still have 16 shows. Like, with the LFA on Access, when we were on Access TV, I was doing 30 shows a year. So I was doing 16 shows in 6 months. So for us to be able to have to do 16 shows between July and December is not going to be a problem for us. It's not like, oh my God, can we do it? We've already done it. You know what I mean? We've done almost 30 shows a year for the past 3 years. So this year, only having to do 20 shows, I kind of felt like, man, like, God, it's a little, you know, and then they had to throw this damn coronavirus at us, you know, to figure it out. As soon as you think you figured it all out, they always throw something else at you.
Now, I want, since you're bringing up, you know, with the return plans, you're already formulating plans for when that comes to pass. I want to ask about like the medical aspect of things, because even coronavirus tests are hard to find in a lot of places, even medical facilities, stuff like that. So, what's the kind of the standard you want to have for when you come back? Do you feel you need to have tests, or even the antibody tests they're talking about now, and test your fighter staff before you do events? Do you feel you just need to find the right kind of medical staff that gives a thorough battery of tests to all the staff and fighters? Like, what standard do you feel you need to make to keep fighters and staff safe when you get back to doing events?
I think what we're going to have to do, I think we'll have to cross that bridge when it comes. I think there's so many new tests and so many new technology that's coming out. You know, a few weeks ago, they're saying that it takes 3 or 4 days to get results, and now they've got tests that can give you a result in 10 minutes. So it's very hard to say, hey, what we're going to do. I think once we cross that bridge is when we're going to determine what will be the best ways to move forward. But once again, what I want to reiterate is what's important to us is the safety of our staff and the fighters. You know what I mean? Whether we have fans there or not, is irrelevant at this point, because I think it's going to be very difficult for us to just jump right back into doing shows with people there. But at the end of the day, we still need to develop talent. These fighters still need to fight. They still need to do that. And there's a lot of variables. It's not so easy. It's just like, okay, we're going to do a fight now. Well, what happens to all these gyms that have been closed, and guys been training, and guys that, you know, and then you start thinking about when guys cut weight, their immune systems are down. So do we do sort of a thing where it's like, okay, if you typically fought at featherweight, do we do kind of if you're a featherweight, the guys are going to fight at 155, so they don't have to cut weight to bring down their immune system. So there's a lot of things, and I think all of those things are very viable. I think it's just a matter of when we decide when that's going to be. I guess we're going to try to take the best options and the best things we can do to protect the safety of the staff and of the fighters. So I think it's a little early to be able to say what I'd like to see. I'd like to see what options are presented in front of me at that time.
Now, another thing in terms of return possible ideas, when I was talking to Ken McLaren from Combate, he mentioned that they were close to possibly setting up in Mexico City at one of their broadcast partners, just doing events in a studio, just studio kind of thing, almost like an old school wrestling kind of setup, stuff like that. Is that a possible idea? Instead of going in an arena, having to rent an arena, be expensive, just a small studio setup?
Totally. That's definitely a way to go, and that's one of the things that we're looking at. You know, we could do that, and like I said, it'll be interesting to see what the future holds. I mean, what the future holds if the whole business is going to turn out to be like that. If we do 20 shows this year. We've got 16 shows this year. Are 10 of them going to be studio shows, and then 6 of them be shows where fans could go to? I think it's only time will tell, and I think it'll be interesting to see, because maybe it'll put a little bit more value on people going and watching it live. You know, sometimes when there's so many shows, people kind of take things for granted. People took for granted, oh, there's live MMA. Well, yeah, I'll just watch it on TV, or I'll watch it tomorrow. But now maybe people are going to be like, oh man, they've been sitting home for all this time and wanting to do something. Maybe they're going to be excited to go watch it. So it's really hard to tell, and then there's all those other variables. Will they have a vaccine? Do they find some sort of medication that's going to be keep this under control? I think another benefit to us is that we're in the Northern Hemisphere, and now we're going into the spring and summer. from what I hear, is the virus does not like the heat. So for us, it's beneficial that it's kind of hitting us at this point in time. But then I hear, is it going to come back in late fall, early winter? So there's so many variables, and I feel that we think about it and we talk about it, but until we really know what's in front of us, I think all these things are just kind of talking points, and we kind of have to go through the exercises of going down all these different channels to find out which one is going to work for us when we decide to do it.
What's the situation for you at home? Like I mentioned, I'm in New York. It's kind of crazy. What's it for you? Are you living under stay-at-home mandate? What are you doing to keep your mental health straight? I mean, for the promoters I've talked to, they stay pretty damn busy even at home. Is the situation the same?
I'm busy, but not that busy, man. I live in California, and I live in Redondo Beach, and I'm pretty bummed out because they don't even let us surf right now.
Oh.
I mean, there's guys getting like $1,000 tickets at the beach if you go surf. So LA County basically shut down the
Wow.
beaches until April 19th. So that's a bummer because I always like to surf, paddle, do something, exercise. But lately, I've just been going on walks, trying to eat healthy, and just spending time watching a lot of Netflix and watching a lot of stuff that
What are you watching
watching
on
a lot of
Netflix? Please tell me. I'm doing a lot of Netflix binges. I watch Ozarks. I watch Narcos Mexico too. What are you watching?
Well, I got to tell you, I mean, who hasn't watched Tiger
Yeah,
King, right?
I did it. I did it. I watched. What'd you think? Tell me. What'd you think?
I thought it was. I mean, what a it was wacky. You know what I mean? I enjoyed it. I mean, I binge watched it. I watched the thing in like a day and a half. But the one that I've been really getting really, I think it's a show that's been doing really well is Money Heist.
Mm.
It's based off of a Spanish. I don't know if it's a TV show or something, but I thought it was a really cool, intelligent sort of like it was cool. I just finished the second season. They call it parts,
Mm.
so it's like one had like 13 episodes, part two had 9 episodes, and I'm about to start part three, and they just launched part four, I think, last Friday. So it's good. I mean, I like that one. And then I've been watching. I like to watch a lot of
Yep. Same
documentaries.
here. Same here.
So one documentary that I watched on Netflix that was really cool was one called The Great Hack.
Okay.
Have you seen that one? It was about the election and how like social media how social media had an influence. Like it was just I just like watching documentaries. So as many documentaries as I can watch, I like doing that.
The industry seemed, at least until the craziness is going on now, at a really strong point. There's so many promotions around the world doing big things. Promotions like yours have found like that lane, found their niche, very successful doing it, not trying to be direct competition to UFC. However, postponed events, very tumultuous global economy coming in the months ahead. Do you feel when we get to the other side of this, it could have like a major effect on the industry, like you mentioned earlier, and maybe this time next year there aren't as many promotions as there are right now still around?
Yeah, I do. It could happen because I feel that when you're looking at a lot of these smaller promotions that aren't getting any money from licensing content, they're really making their money mainly from the fighters going out there and selling tickets, and if that's not going to be possible, I really think it's going to change. How are they going to generate income? How are they going to generate income? So I think, yes, I do think that we're going to see that, but I do believe that, you know what I mean? And where there's a will, there's a way. We have to adapt. Everyone's going to have to adapt. And that's why it's going to be interesting to see what's going to come of all of this. You know what I mean? You can have an idea, but like I said, I'm really, I'll be honest with you. I don't really pay attention to what anybody else is doing. I'm focused on what we're doing and what we need to do to keep moving forward. And like I said, the team that we have, I love my team, and I wouldn't trade them for anything. That's why I said pound for pound, we're the best in the business.